Good evening, y'all. It is my 260th daily reading. And I'm going to finally read out of, oh, this is long. Get What You Want, The Art of Making and Manifesting Your Intentions by Tony Burrows. This is a much longer reading than usual, but we need to read it so we can move on past it. Even though I've been super busy, I need to do it, right? Shining light and sending love. Allow healing to occur no matter where it comes from. In working with the laws of manifestation, we have talked many times about seeing the end result from the beginning. And nowhere is that act more important than in healing our fellow travelers. When we see them in their highest light, we are, in fact, holding a vision of them already healed. This, along with invoking the love of God, is the first principle of true healing. It is the way the masters did it, but now many are learning this process today. Even some of our indigo teenagers like Bonnie in the story below. I remember this story. Let me back up. Invoking the love of God, you can replace that by love of source or love of one or love of universe, however you want to fill in that blank. If you don't want to call your higher power God, however, you can rephrase that. But I love this story. I remember it well now. Okay, here we go. I don't know, Ruby Jean cautioned. You'd have to be very careful. It's awfully hard to tell how strong some of those branches are. Yeah, Bonnie echoed. You'd have to be very careful. Maybe you'd better not. It's not so high. I'll bet I could get some nuts for us to eat, Jenny persisted, disregarding the warnings of the other two. Then she began to shinny up the trunk to the first branches. Look, it's not so hard. As Bonnie and Ruby Jean looked up, a few leaves fell off of the branches down onto their faces. Jenny, be careful, RJ pleaded again, but Jenny climbed even higher. It's no problem. I see a hole up here that I can get to in just a minute. Jenny stepped up onto a smaller branch, and suddenly the branch gave way with a sharp cracking sound. Jenny gave a surprised cry and grabbed at the lower branches as she fell, but she couldn't hold on. In an instant, she was on the ground, screaming in pain. Her left leg, just below her knee, was bent at a 45-degree angle. An ugly, damp, red spot of blood began slowly saturating the leg of her jeans. Oh no! Jenny, are you okay? Bonnie and Ruby Jean cried out as they ran to her. Are you okay? What can we do? What do we do now? You run for help and I'll stay here with Jenny, Bonnie fought to stay calm. Okay, Ruby Jean agreed, and she immediately sprinted off in the direction of her home. What happened next wasn't witnessed by anyone other than the two squirrels up in the hickory tree. 10-year-old Bonnie Moore had never been in a situation like this before. She didn't know what to do, but she knew she had to do something. Jenny was lying there shaking and screaming and bleeding. Bonnie knelt down and told Jenny that everything was going to be all right. She brushed Jenny's hair off her forehead, and the fear and pain she saw in her friend's eyes tugged at her heart and made her want to cry. She could see that Jenny was getting paler and shaking harder with each passing moment, and, more than anything, Bonnie wanted to help her. She could hear her father and mother telling her that she could do anything her heart believed in. She remembered a time when one of her dad's friends had gotten hurt. Her parents had been talking about his friend's healing, and her dad had said, "You can help people heal by seeing them in their highest light. That's how the Master did it. He first envisioned them as well and whole so they could heal. And in that moment, Bonnie knew exactly what to do. A serenity that she had never felt before came over her as she looked down at Jenny, and in her mind she saw Jenny's leg as good as new. She rubbed her hands together, and ever so slowly and delicately she began to pet the broken leg, stoking gently, calmly, back and forth from the knee to the ankle, sometimes not even actually touching the leg. She began to speak. Holy Father, Mother God, I ask for light and love. I am shining light and sending love. She kept repeating these words over and over, continuing all the while to stroke the wound ever so lightly. Shining light and sending love, shining light and sending love. Bonnie Moore knew that something good, something wonderful was happening. It felt like a warm light was filling her body and directing itself through her heart and her hands into Jenny's mangled leg. Jenny's sobs subsided to whimpers as the pain abated and the warmth spread through her. She closed her eyes and, with a deep sigh, surrendered to her healing. Shining light and sending love, shining light and sending love. Bonnie wasn't sure how long she had been petting Jenny's leg when, unexpectedly, she heard a snap. Jenny groaned, and the leg slowly began to move. The bleeding stopped, and, as if by some unseen force, the leg continued to straighten. With a calmness belying her years, Bonnie kept chanting, shining light and sending love. Thank you, Holy Mother, Father God, as she continued petting and stroking. Another snapping sound, and all of a sudden, Jenny's leg looked like it had returned to its normal position. Bonnie stopped stroking when Jenny suddenly sat up and reached to hug her. A few moments later, they pulled away from each other, and Jenny dryly said, I hate nuts anyway, sending both girls into uncontrollable giggles. 10 more minutes went by, and cries were heard from the distance. Where is she? Oh my God, where is she? Running frantically, Jenny's mother and father, Rob and Liz Eastman, and Ruby Jean appeared from around the bend in the trail, only to find Jenny and Bonnie standing there, hugging each other and laughing. Jenny, my baby, are you all right? Screamed her mother, seeing the blood on her daughter's pants. Sure, Mom, I'm fine, Jenny responded as she tried to extricate herself from her mother's tight hug. Really? Everyone was panting heavily, trying to catch their breath and figure out what had happened. Bonnie, my cat got in my way. Bonnie smiled sweetly at the people there. She had a peaceful look on her face, a glow in her eyes. Let's go home and get something to drink. I'm thirsty, she said. The bewildered group didn't say a word. They started walking back down the woodland trail, each cautiously checking Jenny to see if anything was really wrong with her. It was hard to believe that Ruby Jean would make up such a fantastic story about Jenny falling out of a hickory tree. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with Jenny. She didn't even walk with a limp, and yet there was a large bloodstain running down her pant leg. The 3 young girls walked hand in hand, chattering away as if nothing had happened. A short time later, when they all stepped inside one of the partially completed Intender's barns, a crowd gathered around them. Liz Eastman took her daughter's face in her hands and looked into her eyes. Ruby Jean, what made you do such a thing? It's not like you to make up something like that. You gave us all a terrible scare. Everyone was listening. Ruby Jean's confusion was evident. She didn't know what to say. Young lady, you can tell us exactly what happened back there. All eyes were on Ruby Jean, awaiting a reasonable explanation. But it was Jenny who looked up at Liz and answered. "Shining light and sending love, Mrs. Eastman," she said with a smile. "When I fell out of the hickory tree and broke my leg, Bonnie fixed it by shining light and sending love." The Course in Miracles says that we are healed as we let God teach us to heal. Isn't it time that we started practicing in earnest? Won't it be wonderful when there are a whole bunch of us walking the earth and healing each other? A Course in Miracles is a book by Marianne Williamson, I believe is the author. My intention for today is, or as I say, my affirmation for today is, I affirm that I am learning to heal my fellow travelers. So that is what started me on a path to healing, both myself and others, was reading this. So I hope that you too can believe that all things are possible, including having the ability to heal yourself and others. So with that being said, I am sending out love, light, and healing energy. Ask that you pass it on and pay it forward. And until tomorrow, peace. Later.